Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Lian DAN cases A3. Now this is an M80X case. It's quite small form factor in that it's at least half the height of the majority of ATX cases, but it does manage to squeeze in an awful lot of big hardware inside and plenty of cooling as well. There is also some optional extras that you can get, like a tempered glass side panel window, which I will be showing you because I have one. But before we move on, please remember to like, subscribe and comment if you are enjoying the video, if you are enjoying the content. Even if I'm annoying you, please just tell me underneath. All constructive criticism is welcomed. But as always, we're going to start at the top and at the front for this case review. Now the top and the front. Now the top is just a lovely perforated panel, but we would normally kind of start up here, but it is a solid panel on the front, and that is my tripod squeaking. It is plastic, and it really is just a piece of plastic as well. Yes, it's shaped, but there are no vents in it. There's nothing going on. That is it. It does clip on and off rather nicely though. Down the bottom you've got a USB-C headphone, microphone, reset switch, and then your two USB-A 3.2 Gen 2s. If we do pull the front panel off though, we pretty much need to go straight into like review stuff. Now the power supply I have fitted is a Lian SFX power supply, and it's one of the really nice white SFX power supplies as well. But it is the SP850. You'll be able to find a video on the channel and on the website if you fancy going to take a look. But you can see there's gaps around the side. Now, you can fit full-size ATX power supply in there if you want, but you can only go up to 140mm total length. I'd definitely say the SFX power supplies are the way forward. If, though, you want more power, please don't forget that Cooler Master do the V1100 and the V1300 in the ITX, well, it's SFXL spec that you'd still be able to fit in with this, and it does come with separate brackets and stuff so that you can move stuff around. So that's all good. Now, what I do want to draw your attention to, because it is a review, there are screw holes down the side and more underneath, and effectively what you can do is move the power supply up and down if you want to. But while we are talking about the power supply, what you can also do is move it round so it's side mounted as well. So this bracket comes out and it comes round to the other side and then gets clipped on. So there are a few options for not only the height of the power supply but also the location. Now, being able to move the location allows you to do vertical mounts. Being able to move the power supply up and down allows you to have extra cooling in the roof. It allows you to have longer graphics cards, because if you have it where I have now, you can have up to a 415mm graphics card. Still allows you to have three 120mm fans in the floor, and still allows you to have up to three 120mm fans in the roof. As it is in this spec now, you can even, if you want to, fit an AIO in the roof as well, with a 27 to a 30mm thick radiator. If you were to move the power supply round to the side though, this long graphics card becomes much more of a problem, and by that they say it will still fit, and technically it will, but then your cables are going to start running into graphics card fouling problems. So it's going to be one of those ones when it comes to the power supply that you're either going to have to really sit and think about before you make your purchase, or just get a feel for it when it arrives. And I think if it was me, I would definitely be doing the feel for it when it arrives so you can get a better feel. I'm definitely going to say stick with ITX. I'm also going to say stick with the front mounted power supply for a horizontal mount. Only put the power supply round on the side or back, whatever you want to say, if you want to do the vertical mount. Now, it's saying in the paperwork that I've got that the vertical mount actually costs $50, and the tempered glass side panel costs $13. I think they may have got the numbers around the wrong way. But the temper class, optional side panel, white border, not tinted at all. And this, I would say, unless you're going to be using this side mount, I definitely buy it. I think it's just, if the price is correct and it's like $15, I think they should be bundling it with a lot of them anyway. This side mount is screwed on. You can fit a plethora of fans in, including 3 120s, but you're only really going to want to fill it up with fans if you move the power supply round. Otherwise, you can have 2 plain on the side, but I'm going to say that if you have 3 fans in the bottom and 3 fans in the roof, that should be more than enough cooling for all, especially where you can get an AIO in there as well. Deep breath. See, it may be a small case, but it's very complicated. Now, on the roof, as you can see up here, we have 3 120mm fans fitted. You could get a radiator in between the top of the power supply cover, or sorry, the top of the power supply power cable and the fan itself. There is just enough room. It is going to be super tight. So you're going to have to make sure that you fit the cable first. You're going to have to make sure that you guide everything in, but it will go in. You could, if you're worried about it, take the screws out and then try and fit the power supply after, but I think you should be able to squeeze it in. I managed to squeeze it in. Anyway, so that is your option for the front. I also don't like the size of the power supply holder. I think they could have had a much daintier one for an ITX power supply that took up less room and, I don't know, maybe looked a bit nicer. You could have got away with just an L bracket, I think, for an ITX, and then just had the plate here as like solid, because you're always going to have the fan on the inside because there is no real ventage or anything on the front, so you kind of need it the other way anyway. Anyway, deep breaths. As you can see, I have a couple of 120mm fans fitted in the bottom. You can fit 3 if you want, but again, I've left it like this just so that you can see that power supply cables are going to need to be clipped up. You are going to need to put effort in. You're definitely not going to be able to just throw kit in this and expect it to just work. I don't think it would be a bad idea if you wanted to put some grills over the fans so that if you did get any cables slip or anything, you wouldn't have too many problems. The only thing that is going to cause a problem for some of you is if you want to use the included GPU bracket, because it kind of goes down onto the bottom of the case, which means you wouldn't be able to use it if there was a fan there. So that's the reason why it's there, so that you can see it, but in reality, those 2 fans blowing straight into a graphics card is going to be fine, and then you could have, I don't think I'd have this as a intake, but I run out of white fans, and I think 3 in the roof would be lovely. Anyway, M80X case fitted. When we come round the back, one of the things I did want to say is with M80X cases, a lot of people end up putting an ITX board in. I don't know why, but if you were to do that, this section of the motherboard cutout round the back is just going to leave a big gap down the side of your ITX board. So that would make my teeth itch. I don't think it would be good. I'm just not going to recommend it. This panel here for 2.5-inch hard drives, SSDs, whatever you want to call it, can also be moved round to the front if you move the power supply round here. So those things are interchangeable, and I think that's rather nice. I also like the fact that they've kept the mesh right the way up and over, and it's just really nicely finished. It does just work. It does make me wish that they had done something similar around the front though, because the mesh down the sides and then the plastic round the front, I'm not particularly a fan of. But we do need to remember this is only $70, so it isn't a $250 crazy ITX stroke M80X case. It's actually quite cost effective. Now, with the position that I have the PSU in, this is technically position 2, and I think this is the perfect balance. It says up to a 344mm length graphics card, but if you move it down one, it's 334 because there are 3 positions. That would be position 3, this is position 2, position 1 is a little bit higher. If you put it in position 1, then you're not going to be able to get an AIO in the roof, but you will still be able to fit the fans. If you have it in position 1, then that does give you the maximum clearance for very, very big, long graphics cards, but you are still going to have cables on the top of your graphics card. If you want to go real big for like just general graphics card humongousness, then what you need to do is rear mount the power supply, have the vertical mount graphics card kit, which is an optional extra, $50 it said in the paperwork I got, which I thought for what it was expensive. And then you can go full length with your graphics card then, and that's 415mm. But one of the things I am going to say is if you do side mount or vertical mount your graphics card, do not buy the window, stick with the mesh, because it is going to need to be able to breathe. I personally think, this is just my personal thoughts, that you're going to get better graphics card temperatures with it horizontally mounted with fans in the bottom. You can still go with that really long length as well. It's really, really going to depend on what you're wanting from it, and I just don't see the point in a vertically mounted graphics card in this when you can't even see it. So if you think about it, this layout with fans in the bottom, fans in the roof, you can still have a glass side panel window. You've still got dust filtering. You've still got direct airflow on it. I just think this way is the best way. So if the pricing I've been given is correct and the side panel window is $12.99, I don't think it is, then I would definitely be buying this. I'd also, if the pricing is correct and the vertical graphics card mount is $50, I'd not be buying it. Also, because in reality, I think by vertically mounting it, you're just going to be hampering your build in other places. And in reality, the only reason in the end why you'd vertically mount it would be because, well, I don't actually know why you'd want to in this, because you can have fans in the bottom. Actually, yeah, no, I really can't see why, unless you're going to have a really, really, really fat graphics card, like a 4080 Super Master from Aorus, for example, where it's enormous, because you can only go 60mm depth, which is effectively triple slot. But you could go triple slot in this and it'd be on the fans on the bottom, and I think that's going to be fine. I don't think you're going to be buying a $70 case and then having a £1,500 graphics card anyway. But if you've got a sensible sized graphics card, horizontal, fans in the bottom, glass window, fans in the roof, you know, whether you've got an AIO or not is up to you, but in reality I think a 240, 280 or a 360 AIO in the roof to aid cooling, fans in the bottom, horizontal graphics card, glass window, that is the sweet spot as far as this case and build options is concerned. I actually really like it, and that's why I'm going to give it the Enthusiast Award, the OC3D Enthusiast Award. And the reason for that is because you kind of need to be an enthusiast to want it. You're definitely going to need to be an enthusiast to get the best from it, and you're definitely going to need to be an enthusiast to sit there and sort the cables out, work out where everything's going to go to get the most from it. So it's kind of a case of two stories, really. Whereas if you just want to throw stuff in it, don't bother. But if you want to put the effort in, I actually think you could make this an incredibly nice visual addition to your rig setup.